Do you desire to start your own business so that you can work in your purpose, make more money, and create a life of fulfillment, but you don't know where to start? Transitioning from an employee to CEO can be daunting, with countless factors to consider and understand. And that is why I've crafted the Employee to CEO Transition Plan, a free resource designed to seamlessly guide you through each crucial step of your journey towards full-time entrepreneurship. Drawing from my own experience in transitioning from a corporate advertising job to successful entrepreneurship over 15 years ago, I've condensed the essential strategies into just 6 key steps. From clarifying your entrepreneurial vision to devising a practical debt and savings plan, this resource is tailored to set you up for success in creating the life and multi-figure business you dream of. This plan isn't just theory, it's the exact roadmap I used to replace my 6-figure income within just a year of starting my part-time business. And within 3 years, I confidently handed in my resignation letter, paving the way for a life of freedom and fulfillment as a CEO. So if you're like me and crave a smart, responsible, and healthy transition into entrepreneurship, the Employee to CEO Transition Plan is your comprehensive guide and support system. Visit MoniqueNicole.co now to get your free copy and embark on your journey from employee to CEO. And don't wait any longer to step into the life you truly desire and deserve. Visit MoniqueNicole.co today and download your free copy. Welcome to the Employee to CEO podcast, the podcast that empowers and teaches emerging entrepreneurs how to turn their passion into a multi-figure business while working a 9-to-5, and how to transition from employee to CEO in a smart, responsible, and healthy way. I'm your host, Monique Nicole, and in today's episode, number 7, we'll be discussing a topic that's near and dear to the hearts of many aspiring entrepreneurs: leveraging your job income to build your dream business. So join us as we uncover the strategies, mindset shifts, and practical steps needed to turn your side hustle into a thriving enterprise. I'm Monique Nicole, former advertising corporate executive turned retired interior decorator, and now a business coach for aspiring interior design professionals and entrepreneurs. Over the past decade, I've built and managed multiple successful businesses, ranging from small ventures to multi-million-dollar enterprises. But my journey wasn't without its struggles. I spent way too long feeling stuck in a job that didn't fulfill me, yearning for something more purposeful and liberating. And that's when I embarked on a quest to discover my true desires and strengths, leading me to entrepreneurship. Through numerous trials and failures, I've learned invaluable lessons about navigating the challenges of building, growing, and scaling a profitable business. From the highs of financial success to the lows of losing it all, I've experienced the full spectrum. And now I'm here to share my experiences and insights with you. From balancing entrepreneurship with a 9-to-5 job to managing finances wisely, I'm dedicated to helping you transition from employee to CEO. So whether you're an emerging interior designer or a service-based entrepreneur, this podcast is your go-to resource for actionable guidance and advice. Join me as we embark on this journey together, setting the stage for your life and business success right from the start. Welcome to the Employee to CEO podcast. Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome to today's podcast episode number 7, the 6 key steps to leverage your job to build your dream business. This is such an exciting topic for me because I myself have gone through this exact same experience and following these 6 key steps that I want to share with you today on today's podcast, and I cannot wait to dive in. So let's go ahead and get started, because the reality is that many of you dream of being your own boss, pursuing your passions, and building a successful business, right? And the truth is, though, even with that I'm sure, like really, inspiring dream. The reality is that transitioning from a full-time job to entrepreneurship can be daunting, especially when it comes to finances, right? And so that's why today we're going to explore some strategies for using your job income to fuel your entrepreneurial journey, and ultimately use that to also be able to turn your dream business into a reality as well. Okay, so the question you might be having right now, depending on where you are in your entrepreneur journey, is where do you start, right? How do you get started on this journey, and what are kind of the steps, right, to just even jumpstart your business and jumpstart preparing yourself for that transition? And so one of the things that I want to just share is that really the first step is to set clear financial goals for your business. I always talk about, and I coach my students on, like, if you don't know what you want, you really have no clear path on where you're going to go, right? So you got to get clear on not just what do you want, but taking it to the next level and saying, like, and specifically when it relates to my finances, what are the goals for my business? Okay. So whether it's saving up for startup costs, if that's something that you need to do, or just covering your monthly expenses, or even maybe aiming for a specific revenue target, having a clear vision on your financial objectives is essential. Okay, it's really important, because what will happen is once you start the process of building the business, right, then you're focused on a lot of like the system, building the systems, and really kind of the infrastructure of the business. And so that can really take you away from your focus of like what your goals are. And so this is why you want to start with setting clear goals. Okay. And specifically, we're talking about your finances in this episode. Okay, so setting those clear goals are essential. They're very important. And I want to say this also, when you are starting out, and this is why if you've been following me, you know that we have a specific framework that we follow, which is called the Employee to CEO framework. This is a proprietary framework that I created to help emerging entrepreneurs step into entrepreneurship. And it really takes you through 4 phases of entrepreneurship that every emerging entrepreneur goes through. Okay, so when I say emerging entrepreneur, I mean someone who's looking to start a business, right? And so there is a process that we all go through when we embark on this journey. And it starts with the emerge phase, is what I call the emerge phase, which is really getting your stuff together, like preparing yourself, preparing to transition from your job. And one of those steps in that process, right, of completing that emerge phase before you get to the building phase, which is the next phase, is that you have to get yourself prepared, right? You got to prepare yourself for entrepreneurship so that when you build the business and you open the doors to your business, you're ready to start. You're ready to accept clients, and you're not having to backtrack and fix things and rebuild things and, get your financial goals in order. Like all of these things need to be set up and ready to go before you open your doors. Okay, so this is a part of what I like to call the emerge phase in our Employee to CEO framework. And if you want to learn more about that, you can go to our website at moniquenicole.co. And there's information on what this framework is all about and kind of what these 4 phases are. But we have the emerge phase, we have the build phase, we have the grow phase, and then you have the scale phase. Okay. And these are the 4 phases that every entrepreneur will go through at some point, as long as you are in business and you are, looking to grow your business. These are the phases that you'll go through. So the question is, right, where do you start, right? Where do you get started? And so we're going to dive into these 6 steps that I think are essential for you to be able to, really leverage your job and be able to leverage your job and use the income on your job to fund your business. And before we get into the 6 steps, I do also want to share this. So the advice that I'm sharing with you is really from the perspective of, really thinking about funding your business through leveraging your job. And that is because that is the way that I did it. So when I was, making six figures on my job and, doing very well, I had a lot of extra disposable income. I was really good at managing my money for the most part. Later on. Earlier on, I was on the struggle bus a little bit, but, later on in my career, I really did get better with money. And so, I was able to really take a lot of my disposable income, the extra income I had that I was earning from my job, and put it into my business. And I truly believe that if you can do that, now you may not be in that situation, right? If depending on how much you're making on your job and, how many expenses you have, right? But if you're in the position where you do have a good amount of disposable income after you've paid your bills and all that good stuff, it's really helpful, and it's a big advantage for you to be able to bootstrap your business and your job and use the money that you're making on your job. Now, that might not be your situation, and I'm going to talk about, if that's not your situation, how you can do some other things. But I just wanted to caveat and just share that that's the perspective that I'm coming from, is how to really be smart about the money that you're making so that you can leverage it to build your business. Okay, so let's dive in. The first step is really creating a budget. Now, I know some people don't like this word. I like it. I like the word budget because I feel like it really does hold you accountable, and it makes you look in the mirror and look at your finances and how you're spending your money to be smart, right? And to make better decisions. So really creating a budget is about taking a close look at your current spending habits and identifying areas where you can either maybe cut back to save more money for your business, or maybe, leverage some things that you're spending on, right? Because by prioritizing your business expenses and trimming unnecessary cost, right, you can maximize the impact of your job income on your entrepreneurial venture. So what that means is, when you're creating a budget, and basically a budget is just looking at what your income is versus your expenses. Okay, so what you have coming in versus what you have going out, and making sure that everything that you're spending on, right, are things, one, that you need, right? And kind of deciphering the difference between what your needs and wants are. And then saying, okay, here's a list of all the expenses that I need to pay, right? So those are things like, your home expenses, if you have a mortgage or rent, right? Or food, right? Clothing, the essentials, the things that you really absolutely need to survive. And then looking at maybe a second tier of, okay, these are things that I might need, for on an annual basis or maybe on a monthly basis to, enhance the way that I live. So it may be a shopping budget, a clothing shopping budget. It could be things like entertainment, going out with the family, maybe eating out, things like that. And these are things that you don't necessarily need, but maybe you want to do. So you might look at your budget and say, okay, well, the last year we've been, eating out at least once or twice a week, right? Well, you can ask yourself, do you have to eat out once or twice a week? Maybe you just eat out once a month, right? And you make it a celebratory event for the family. Okay. Now you can cut a lot of costs by just cutting out spending money on food, okay? Fast food, and it's not healthy for you anyway, okay? Let's just be honest. Another area is if you're the type of person that goes and gets a coffee every day, you stop at Starbucks before you go to your job, right? I know the average, the tall cup? The tall cup is at least $5. I want to say it's probably more than that. I haven't really been in Starbucks in a while, but I want to say it's between $4 and $6. So that's $10, right? When you add tax. And then, you probably might add on a croissant or something like that. Well, that's $10 a day, right? That's a lot of money. Okay. So when it adds up, like that's money that you can truly save. So you want to look at your budget, decipher the differences between your needs and your wants, and really figure out what are some areas that you can trim your expenses and cut cost. Okay. And then what you can do is you take that extra money that you have over from the trimming that you've done, and then you apply it to your business. Okay. That can be put towards your business, right? Or maybe saving for your business. Okay. So, these are ways that you can create this budget to really take a clear look at how you're spending your money, and, what are some ways that you can save so that you can invest in your business early on. Okay. All right. Step 2 is all about building an emergency fund. Okay, so before taking the leap into full-time entrepreneurship, you want to make sure that you have a safety net in place to cover any unexpected expenses or fluctuations in income. Okay, you also want to aim to save at least about, I like to say, 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses to give yourself some peace of mind as you build your business. And I can't tell you how important this is, because the truth is that even if you have the best service, the best product in the world, and you launch your business and, you do very well right out the gate. I was one of those people, right? I did very, very well for myself from when I started my business initially. But the truth is that, and I experienced this, is that every business has ebbs and flows, meaning you might have a great month, 1 month you're making thousands of dollars, you've exceeded your goals, your revenue goals. And the next month, it's like crickets, right? And that can be due to many different things that may be out of your control. It could be that you have a seasonal business, right? I know in the interior design space, for me, I could see a slow pattern consistently every year. So right around October was usually when my business slowed down, because people were getting ready for the holidays. A lot of times people were traveling, and people didn't want to be focused on, designing their home. Like, people are focused on spending time with their family during this time. And so most of the time, I wasn't getting consultations, people weren't looking to decorate the home. And so, I had to prepare for that. So what I would do is when I would make extra money or exceed my goals in the previous months during the year, I would put a little bit aside, right? And before I left my job, I made sure that I had about 6 months of an emergency fund put aside. Right? So when I say an emergency fund, you want to take a look at, and this is why the budget is so important, because you would have already created a list of all of your expenses. So then you just take that list of monthly expenses. So you want to list your expenses every month that you have to pay, right? So all the money that goes out of your household, you're going to list everything. And then you're going to times that by 6. And that's or 3 months if you want to do 3 months. And that'll give you your number. That'll tell you how much money you need to save to have an emergency fund for either 3 months or 6 months. Okay. And so this is going to help you, because when you give that resignation letter and you step out there and the business, their business stores are open, and you hit maybe that month where it's a dry month, right? That emergency fund is going to come in handy, because here's the truth. Okay. The bills don't stop coming. Okay. I don't care how much money you're making. I don't care if you're a multimillionaire, you still have bills. If you've ever heard this saying that, there's millionaires and, sometimes billionaires, they just sometimes even they are just what you call broke on a high level. Okay. They got more money, but they got more bills. Right. And so this principle of creating a budget and getting good with, really being frugal with your finances. Now, I'm one of those people that I like to call myself frugal. I'm not cheap, because I have no problem with spending money on things that I feel like are valuable to me, meaning for me, like I like spending money on experiences. I love traveling, things that I can remember, right? I would rather spend, for example, a couple of $100s on a flight to Miami to go for my, maybe to hang out with my girlfriends for the weekend than spending that money on going out to dinner for the next 3 months, right? That's just an example, right? Because I'm going to eat that food and that food is going to be long gone out of my brain and out of my body, right? In a few days, okay? Versus I go on a trip to Miami with my girlfriends or my family or what have you, and I've got pictures to show for it. Like I've got the memories to show for it, right? And I had such an amazing experience. And so you have to really think about like what is valuable to you, and what are the things that you want to, spend your money on that's going to really give you the best return for your investment, right? So whether that's making you feel better or just, again, like I said, having those experiences. So you want to build that emergency fund so that when you have those dry months or those dry seasons in your business, you have money that you can access to make sure that you can maintain your lifestyle, pay your bills, you're not stressed out. I had a coach tell me years ago, and this is when I was deciding to leave my job, and I wasn't sure if it was the right time. And, I said, I asked my coach, I was like, should I leave my job? Am I ready? And she said to me, well, these are the things you need to have in place. And the main thing you always want to make sure of is that you're not working your business like you have a gun to your head. Meaning like you're not stressed, you're not pressed, right? You have an emergency fund in place, you have, things in place so that when business slows down, you're not stressed. You're not like working like you have a gun to your head, like you are like on the hook, right? Because nobody wants to live their life that way. Okay, because the whole point of building a business is so that you can have less stress and you can have more freedom, right? So building this emergency fund is important, and I highly recommend that you do this before leaving your job, okay? All right, so step number 3 is all about investing in your business wisely. So let's just say you've created your budget, you've identified where you can cut costs so you can use some of the money that you're making on your job to fund your business, right? And then you build this emergency fund. I would say fund your emergency fund first. And then once you've got that done, then start using your extra money that you have from your job and putting it into a savings account or your business account, hopefully that you've set up, and you're saving that to invest in your business. Now, once you get to that point, the whole key is to invest in your business. And hopefully you heard me when I first said this, wisely. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, it's all about allocating your job income towards essential expenses, right? That you're going to have in your business, such as maybe product development. So things that you're going to need to actually get the business off the ground, right? Marketing is another area that you're going to need to invest in, as well as professional services, right? So these are the things that are actually going to get the business off the ground so that you can start producing income from the business. And that is how you're going to, and where you want to invest your money wisely into, okay? The things that are going to drive revenue. So you want to prioritize your investments that will generate a return on your investment and help your business grow. Okay, so that, and this is the area that I'm going to tell you a lot of emerging entrepreneurs get themselves in trouble in, right? Because it can be exciting to be a new business owner and to be able to call yourself an entrepreneur, right? Right, that's cool. But the problem comes in, and I see this all the time when I evaluate my clients' expenses and their books, and I'm like, they give me their access to their QuickBooks, and I go in there and I'm like, okay, You have some business income, right? And you've set aside some money. That's great. But I see here, right, on the Excel sheet or in your QuickBooks or whatever, that like you're going out, you're traveling, you're jet setting, like, the money that you're making is going towards things that, yes, they may be business write-offs. And I have air quotes, right? I'm putting up air quotes, right? But this isn't money that's going to bring you money back, right? You going out to dinner and calling it a business dinner, right? While it may be, right? Is that money that you spent on that dinner going to bring you money? Now, if it's a business dinner, right, and it's maybe to discuss some business or opportunity that can bring some revenue in the future, okay, well, that can slide. But if it's like, okay, you going out, with your friends and you guys might talk business and you're just writing it off as a business expense, and nothing out of that conversation is going to bring you revenue into your business, well, that's not allocating and investing in your business wisely. Okay. So even when you have the disposable income on your job and you have money to invest in your business, you want to make sure you're being smart about how you're spending it. Okay. So spend it on things that are going to grow the business. Okay, so step number 4 is all about exploring funding options. Now, remember when I first started this podcast today, I mentioned that, the caveat around these steps that I'm recommending is that, I was the type of person who bootstrapped my business. Like I literally leveraged my business my job income that I was making. And I leveraged that and used it to fund my business. Okay. But that's because I was making well over almost 7 figures on my job. I was doing very well. I had very little expenses, very low overhead. And, I had the disposable income to do it. Right. Now, that might not be everyone's situation that's listening. You may not have a 6-figure job. You may be, living paycheck to paycheck and just struggling to pay your bills. So you might not have that wiggle room, and that's okay. Because while bootstrapping your business with your job income is a great starting point, I do want to encourage you not to hesitate to explore other funding options. Okay. And I'll give you an example because I have a lot of experience in doing this. I used to work with different companies, and one of the things that I used to do was to help actually create like pitch decks and presentations and build strategic plans to help with trying to secure what we call angel investor funding. Okay. And even when I was in grad school, I had to do a dissertation, and one of the things for a business that we wanted to start. And I actually ended up taking that business, even though it was just supposed to be for my dissertation. I love building businesses. So I ended up taking that business and getting investors and creating a board of directors. And it almost actually got off the ground. I ended up selling the concept to someone else for a nice, pretty penny. But it was fun because I got a chance to experience like pitching in front of angel investors. And it's really cool because let me tell you, there's so much money out there. Like a lot of these multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar companies, they have to find ways to give away money because they're making so much money. So I want you to get into the mindset, and we've been talking about mindset all this month, that there is no limit to cash or funding for your business. There is more than enough money, okay, for you to go out there and get whatever you need to fund your business. You just have to find it and do the work to get it. Okay, so funding options are great because you can get funding through several different ways. If you don't have the disposable income necessarily to use from your job, you can secure funding through small business loans. So, with a business loan, you do have to have a decent credit. Usually they like to see about a 640 or better. And they typically want a business plan. Okay. But a business loan is a good option. You could also seek investment from angel investors. Now, I will tell you, with angel investors, what they're looking for particularly is a company that can scale pretty quickly, so that they get their return on their investment back. Because typically angel investors is like actually what the name calls it. Usually these are people or funding firms who just have a lot of extra money, or they just have money, and they're like an angel, right? That shows up and they're like, hey, I got extra $50,000. Tell me what your business is about. And if I think that it's going to bring me a great return on my investment, I'll invest in your business, right? So they're not like banks. They're usually individuals or investment funding firms, okay, that look into building your business. Now, I will say that a lot of times it's harder to get funding from angel investors for service-based businesses. They're really big into like technology, biotech, things like that. But it's not to say that you can't meet someone or know someone who is an angel investor that, again, just has a lot of disposable money that's looking for, entrepreneurial startups to invest in. Okay. And then the other thing you could do is crowdfunding your idea. Okay. Because there's plenty of ways that you can crowdfund and, raise capital for your business. Okay. So you have to figure out what's going to be the right way for you. And don't let me forget, that seeking grants, applying for grants is great. I just literally got an email this morning that Amazon is offering a $25,000 grant for emerging entrepreneurs. So again, Amazon is like huge, right? They've got a ton of money. And so like these big companies, they have to find ways to reduce their taxable income to give some of this money away. So there's a lot of money out there. There's more than enough. I mean, more than enough. And this is a mindset shift that you have to make for yourself. The money is out there. It's available to you. You just have to go after it. Okay, so grants are another great option. Actually, that's the first that I would recommend going after. And check your local communities. A lot of times they have economic development programs that offer grants for emerging entrepreneurs. I know I'm in the Virginia area at the time right now, and I'm a coach for a accelerator program for new business owners. You have to be at least have 2 years of business operations or been operating your business for 2 years. But we teach and coach emerging entrepreneurs how to get funding, so get business loans. And a lot of times we partner with local community economic development programs to provide grants, okay, for our students. So, check with your community, check with local businesses that are offering grants, and that's a great way to help fund your business, okay? All right, so moving on. So step number 5 is all about managing your time effectively. Okay. This is another key aspect of balancing your job and your business. And I think I did a YouTube, I think I did a podcast. It was either a podcast or like a Facebook Live video about, balancing your business and your job. And, this is one of the areas that I think a lot of people struggle in. I know it's an area that I struggled in because I got to a point where, I was so kind of fed up on my job that, I was really kind of checked out towards the last stages of working. But even though I love my job, but I was ready because I was making money on my job, and I just knew that I had expired the time that I was at my job. Like, it was time for me to go. And so I was kind of like checked out. And I remember like really up into that point, like really having to get good at managing my time and separating my job from my business. And this is really important because as you get excited about building your business and as you start the process, you're going to, I don't know how to say this, but you're going to feel like, why am I here? Like on your job. If you've ever felt like that, like, why am I here? Like, it's time for me to go. Like, when is this going to end? Kind of. And what that can do if you're not careful at managing your time effectively is it can really kind of blur the lines for you and want to just invest 100% into your business, even though you still have your job. And remember, this podcast is all about leveraging your job to fund your business, right? And so you always want to work within integrity and make sure that you're, creating those boundaries around the time that you're going to put into your job versus the time that you're going to put into your business and keeping them separate. So don't work on your job. Don't work your business on your job. Set aside time and really plan out your schedule so that you can allocate time effectively to your job versus your business. Okay. So you want to, really create that schedule to dictate, focused time outside of your regular business working hours so that you can maximize your productivity and just stay organized. Okay. So one of the things I remember in the podcast, I believe it was that I did, I'll have to check back and give you the title, but I talked a lot about turning your car into an office, right? And doing things to help make that separation. So if you're going to go out to lunch, fine, go out to lunch, take your lunch in your car. Or I used to sit out on the bench outside and eat my lunch and, have my iPad and my phone, and I would work my business. Right now, that's my time. I can do what I want on my lunchtime, and so can you. So you just have to figure out what are those pockets of times that you're going to dedicate to building your business versus, obviously working the job, because that's the thing that you're going to still want to leverage. So you got to keep your job, meaning you can't get fired, right? And you don't want to, compromise the integrity of what you've, your reputation and what you've built on your job, right? You want to show up because you still have a responsibility. You've still signed that contract that says you're going to, show up at 9 a.m. and you're going to leave at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Or if you like, I was, right? Even though I signed that contract, it was kind of like however and whenever we need you. So sometimes I didn't leave the office till 10 o'clock at night, like true story. But hey, that's what I signed up for, right? And I loved my job. So I'm not complaining, but what I'm saying is you want to stick to what you committed to, okay, on both ends. And so you want to hold yourself accountable for your business as well. So if you make the schedule and you say, okay, when I get home from work, I'm going to cook dinner and I'm going to eat, from, I don't know, say you get off at 5 and maybe you're going to eat dinner at 7 or 6 o'clock or 7. And then once you've taken a shower, you got the kids ready for bed from 9 to, 10 or 9 to 11, you're going to work your business. Well, commit to that. Do what you say you're going to do. Okay. And that's what managing your time effectively is all about, right? Maximizing and prioritizing what's important so that you can be productive and stay organized and make the most of your limited time. Because here's the thing, time is one of those things that you just cannot get back. Okay. It is a commodity. It is something that I know for me, I protect like it is golden. Like I protect it like it's a pot of gold worth, $1 million or more because you can't get it back, right? Nobody's going to give you back time, right? Except for God. He's the only one who can restore time, right? So once it's gone, it's gone. And so you got to use it wisely and you got to use it to really help you to grow your business and, make the best out of working your job, right? Try to really focus on the beauty and have gratitude for your job, because remember, this is the thing that you're able to leverage. This is the thing that's going to be the vehicle to help you to grow and build your business and start your business. So think of it as a blessing and treat it as such, as far as managing your time. Okay. All right. So the last step in this process of leveraging your job income to build your business is seeking support and guidance along the way. Now, I mean, I have so many stories that I could tell you. I can't even tell you all of them because we don't have enough time today in today's podcast. But I can tell you how determined and persistent I was and still am in seeking advice and guidance, right? And when it came to building my business, for me, it really started with, I remember like the first coach that I ever hired or worked with or paid to work with was a life coach. And I can't remember, I want to say someone referred her to me, because I'm not that type of person. I'm not that person that like just goes on Google and just kind of like sticks my finger up in the air, especially if I'm going to be paying you a nice pretty penny. Like, I need to know that you know what you're doing, right? So I want to say that I can't remember, it's been so long ago, but I can't remember how I stumbled upon her, but I want to say someone referred her to me. And I remember I was living in New Jersey. I was working in New York City, and it was earlier, probably like the first 2 years of like I would say probably the first year after I had actually discovered what I wanted and decided that I wanted to start a business. But I knew that there was so many things going on in my life and in my career that I needed to sort out. Like, at the time, I was still in that phase of like discovering what I wanted. And so I hired this coach. She was a life coach. And gosh, I can't tell you like how beneficial it was. And let me tell you, I was hesitant because she wasn't cheap. And I remember I was living in New Jersey, and she lived in New Jersey as well. She lived in Princeton, New Jersey. And she had this like beautiful home, like out in like the backwoods of like the Princeton area. And her home like looked like a barn. It was actually a reconstructed barn. It used to be a farmer's barn. Beautiful, beautiful home. And I remember the first time I met with her, and we were talking, and she was asking me like, what do I want? And I was like, I felt like I was so confused. Like, I was making great money, but I wasn't really happy. And I knew that I wanted more. I just didn't know what that looked like and what that meant. And so, we did a lot of talking about like, what did I want my life to look like? Like, what did I want to do? Right. And I don't even think, now that I think about it, I don't even think that I knew what business I wanted to start at that time. I think I just knew that, I wanted something different, and I was trying to figure it out. And she really helped me work through like, okay, how do we map this out? I was also in a relationship, and I was trying to figure that out. And it was just so much happening in my life at that time. And I felt like I was like in a whirlwind. And she really helped me like sift through all the things, right? And help me get clear. And I really feel like that was like the pathway for me to explore what I wanted. And from working with her and her coaching me, like when we finished coaching, like I had a clear plan. Like I knew what I wanted. I knew what I wanted to go after, and I did. And I mean, I can't thank her enough. I wonder what she's up to now. I'll have to like dig out her information because, she was like amazing. And so I highly recommend that you seek guidance and seek, whether it's a mentor or a coach or, even, just a friend who you can just bounce ideas off of. I remember when I did decide to start my interior decorating business, one of the things that I knew was that I was very green to the industry, right? Because you got to remember, I came from the marketing and advertising world, like two different completely career paths and industries, right? And I didn't even know that I had a gift for interior design until I purchased my first home. So this was like I was in my like mid 30s, right? I would say my early 30s, let's just say that. But here I am. I've already spent 8 years of schooling, right? I've traveled the world. Like I was on this path of, literally retiring from the advertising industry. And things just took a turn, right? I purchased my first home because I was making too much money and they were hitting me up in taxes crazy. And so when I purchased my first home, that was kind of when I went on this journey and this exploration of, redecorating it. And I just loved it. I fell in love with it and decided that, hey, like, I was starting to get burnt out on my job. And I was like, hey, I think I would love to do this professionally. But I had no idea, like, even where to start, So if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, okay, I don't even know where to start, right? I understand, because I was that person. Like you couldn't have told me that I would start a business, a 6-figure business that would last me over 10 years, right? While I was working my job, 12, 15 years ago. Like I wouldn't have even believed it if you told me. So I say that to say, because I stumbled upon this, right? And so I was very green, and I knew that even though I had got my life in order, once I had this idea, this light bulb that went off, this like, okay, you could probably be good at this and you could probably make some money doing this, right? Because you have a gift in it, right? I still was like a deer in headlights, because I'm like, okay, I don't know anything about the interior design industry. And that anytime you feel like, okay, I don't know enough about something, that is a clear indication that you need to seek advice, and not YouTube or not Google, right? I mean, that's great. That's good for supplemental information, but you need to speak and work with someone that has been where you want to go. And that is usually my meter to know when to work with somebody. I have to see your fruit. I have to see that you've done this and you know how to do this, because if you haven't done it and I haven't seen you do it well, to me, I'm going to be very skeptical that you can teach me something, that you can show me how to do it. So I need to know that you've done it and you've done it well. Okay. And so, I knew that I was green and I needed to learn, right? And so I was on this hunt to find someone who would teach me. Now, at the time, although I was making good money, right? Going back to investing in your business wisely, right? At the time, I wasn't really ready to invest in a business coach or an interior design coach. And actually, to be quite honest, there wasn't a lot of them out there, because I remember looking. But I had spent a ton of money on my life coach, which was well worth it. But I was looking for someone that was very specialized. And at that time, they didn't have a lot of business coaches out there. And so I was like, okay, I need to find somebody that A, was local to me, and that B, I could see the fruits of their labor. And meaning they were doing, well, they had a great reputation, right? They seemed like they worked with integrity, and they seemed like they knew what they were doing. And so I went on Facebook, I remember, and I was like searching interior designers in the area. And I stumbled upon an interior designer that was, he was like based right outside of Philly. So I was in New Jersey, he was in Philly, which is maybe about a 45-minute train ride, right? And I used to go to Philly all the time for work because we had partner agencies in Philly. So I have to go out there for work. So I was familiar. And so I was like, okay, great. So I started doing my research, and, I was researching him. Okay. Like now he knows this now, but well, I ended up telling him this. He knows this story, but he didn't know it at the time. Like I was kind of like borderline stalking him. Like I wanted to make sure like this was the person. And I shot my shot. And I, DM'd him, and I was like, hey, listen, my name is such and such. I am, new to this industry, and I'm just looking to learn. I would like to start a business in interior design. I have a gift for this, but I'm really green. And I was just very transparent with him. And, like God says, ask and you shall receive, right? And so I shot my shot and he hit me up and he was like, hey, that's cool. Like, really like encouraging. And, I said to him, I said, can I give you a call? I just have some questions and just trying to get things, started. And he was so like open and welcoming, and that's how I knew like he was the right mentor for me at the time, because, you can always get a vibe when somebody like doesn't want to be bothered, or, it seems like you're bothering them, or they just don't have the time, or for whatever reason, they're, not as receptive. But that was not him. Like, he was just so like kind and just welcoming. And we ended up having, I remember our first phone call, and I said to him, I was like, listen, like, I'm really green. Like, I don't know nothing about nothing when it comes to interior design. All I know is that I have a gift in this and I love doing it. And I told him about buying my first home and like it being like bare walls and just really, doing an amazing job at transforming my home. And people like thought that I had hired a professional designer. It was like that cool. And so I think he really understood and saw the potential in me, which is why he, opened up and was like, yeah, like whatever you need. And I said to him, like, listen, I'm that person, like I'm a very persistent person. Like, I'm going to call you probably like every day till I get to a place where I feel comfortable. And like, I know what I'm doing. And at the time I was actually studying for my degree in interior decorating. So, I told him, I was like, I'm really serious about this. And I think that's why he took me seriously. Because I did call him like every day. If I wasn't calling him, I was texting him or emailing him like, hey, how do I do a consultation? What do I say to my, my client? How do I charge for consultations? How do I charge for my services? What services should I offer? Like, I had all the questions. And he was always, he was a busy guy and I respected his time, but like, he always made himself available. And like today, like I talk about him because I'm just forever grateful, because I don't know like if someone else would have been that gracious. And, he didn't charge me, it wasn't like he was like, okay, I'm gonna send you my invoice in the mail. Like, he was just like, okay, whatever you need. He even like, I remember, him inviting me to his home and showing me like all of the design vendors that he had, partnerships with, and like showing me his design process. Like, he was so welcoming, and I'm so grateful for that, because you need people like that. You need people who are going to help show you the way and really kind of, give you the knowledge that you need to be successful. And remember, I said the meter that you should be looking at who to work with is, what is their fruit, right? What have they done? Have they helped others, or just have they been successful at the thing that you're trying to be successful at? And never be afraid, right, to shoot your shot. Like, he is an award-winning interior designer. He has his own furniture line now. Like, he's not like, he's like one of the best in the game. And so I could have just been like, oh, he's not gonna pick up my phone call, or he's not going to help me, right? Because he's too big and I'm too small. Like, I could have had that mentality, but I didn't, right? Because at the end of the day, we all put our pants on the same way. Okay. And I've been around celebrities and famous people since I was young, all my life. And so for me, that status and all of that, I don't care about that, because the only person that I fear and that I reverend is God, right? He's the only person that can ever intimidate me, right? Because, I can't compete. I don't have nothing to give more than God does, right? So nobody else, I don't care about status. I don't care about none of that, okay? None of it, right? So, I could have had that mentality if I had a mindset that thought that way, but I didn't. I was just like, okay, either he's going to say yes or no, right? And he said to me, I remember telling him like, I'm going to probably, be in contact with you very frequently because I'm trying to really, learn this thing and get my business off the ground. And he said to me, and I respected this so much, and this is something that I actually took on, and I embedded this in my mind and kind of the way that I do business. And he said to me, listen, I have no problem with helping you, with showing you the ropes. A lot of times he said, I'm busy, or if I'm not available, I'll let you know, and I will, if I don't answer, I will definitely give you a call back when I'm available. Okay. But hey, if I'm available, like, we can hop on the phone, like, I'm happy to help. And so I respected that, because that really set the tone for our relationship, where, he basically was like, listen, I'm happy to help. Yes, I might not be available all the time or when you call, but when I am, like, I'll be there. And I respected that. And so seeking support is really helpful. And then I would say the next biggest investment that I made in working with a coach was when I actually, I started my business in 2012, my interior decorating business. I ran that business for over 10 years. And then in the midst of starting that business several years later, so it started in 2012, in 2016 is when I started my coaching business, because what I was noticing was a lot of my peers were struggling to start their own business or grow their own business in interior design. And because I have a marketing and advertising background, like, that was not my weak spot. Like, I knew exactly what to do to market my business and get clients. And so I was kind of like an anomaly. Like, people were like, who is this girl? Like, where does she come from? She's making great money. She's, successful in the industry, and like, she's brand new. She just popped up out of nowhere. And so what I realized was, like, there was a gap of knowledge of, like, marketing and sales and advertising in the interior design industry. And so I found myself, like, giving advice and coaching other designers who were my peers. And I was like, man, this is really unfortunate, because the truth of the matter is that even in interior design school, or even just traditional, like, education, if you're doing a bachelor's or a master's or any higher education, they do not teach you entrepreneurship. They do not teach you how to run a business. Even when you go to interior design school, they teach you the fundamentals of design. They might teach you a little bit on sales, but the educational system is designed to create employees. It's designed to educate you to be able to then take that education and go out into the workforce. That is what it is designed to do. Okay. So no matter what degree or how high of a degree you come out with, right, most people still do not know how to start a business or grow a business. And so that's what I was finding and realizing. And so that's what really propelled me to start my coaching business in 2016. And so I share that because, I started this coaching business, and it was just such a blessing to be able to share and teach others. And so, seeking that advice is helpful. But before I was able to start that coaching business, I actually invested in a coach, and that was kind of the third coach that I worked with. And it was very specific. She was a coach that specializes in teaching people how to start a coaching business. Okay. So again, when you're seeking guidance, you want to make sure that it's very specific to what you're trying to do. So it's just the same thing with, like, you don't go to a heart doctor if you're having heart failure. You don't go to a foot doctor for a heart failure complication, right? Right. Yeah, they're both doctors, but they specialize in two different things. So each one is going to help you get a different result, right? And it's the same thing in seeking or looking to work with a coach or mentor. You want to make sure that they specialize in the thing that you're trying to accomplish, okay? And that there is fruit from their work, okay? So as you guys probably know already, I'm a business coach, and I started out coaching specifically interior designers, and now I also coach emerging entrepreneurs, that any entrepreneur who's looking to start a service-based business. Okay. So, we've branched out this past year because I had a lot of people asking me, hey, I've got, this cleaning business, or I've got this, a restaurant or something like that. And I'm looking to start a business, but I'm not sure how to get started. And at the time I didn't have, a program or course specifically for service-based entrepreneurs. But now we do, and I'm super excited about it. But again, I say that and I share that with you because it's very important to seek someone who specializes in the area that you're looking to grow in. Okay. But, seeking this guidance, you can also seek support. So, joining networking groups or investing, like I mentioned, in business coaching, or just surrounding yourself with supportive people, right? It could be a friend, a girlfriend who, likes talking business, and, she's that person that's going to listen and you can bounce your ideas off of, right? That's support, and it goes a long way. Okay. And on that note, I do want to share that I do have some free resources that you can take advantage of in this area. We actually have a VIP members group community. It's free to join. You can join. I share, I show up in the group daily. I share business tips, different strategies on how to start your business, how to grow your business. And it's a great community of women who are also on the same path and journey that you are on. So I encourage you to join. You can join for free by visiting our website at moniquenicole.co. and you can join today for absolutely free. So in summary, I just want to thank you first for joining the podcast today. And, in conclusion, just want to say that leveraging your job income to build your dream business really is all about strategic planning, making smart financial management decisions, and then having that unwavering determination that you're going to go after it. You're going to do this, right? And by setting clear goals, like creating a budget, building an emergency fund, investing wisely, like we talked about, exploring different funding options, right, to put into the business, to managing your time effectively, to ultimately as well seeking support and guidance, you can turn your entrepreneurial dreams into reality. And so I would love to help you do that. And I can't wait for to hear how you've put these things into place and you started practicing them, and how it's helped you get your business going. So that's all for today's episode of the Employee to CEO podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and be sure to join us next time as we continue to explore the fascinating world of entrepreneurship. Until then, stay inspired and keep chasing your dreams. Your coach, Monique Nicole. Are you feeling stuck in your 9-to-5 job, but dreaming of starting your own business? Or tired of endlessly searching YouTube and webinars only to feel more confused about where to begin? Or maybe you've been held back by imposter syndrome, doubting your qualifications because you're new to entrepreneurship or just don't come from a family of business owners. Or perhaps the fear of what others will think has kept you from taking the leap, including fear of not being able to make enough money to support you and your family, ultimately a failed business, or fear of not having enough time to work your job and start a business, ultimately failing before you start. Let me just say this: don't let fear hold you back any longer. It's time to silence those doubts and take control of your destiny by inviting you to join us in the Employee to CEO coaching program. So whether you're looking to start a business in interior design or in a service-based industry, our courses, Employee to Designer and Employee to Founder, are designed to help you turn your gifts into a multi-figure business that brings you joy, fulfillment, and financial freedom. Enrollment is now open, and so you can choose from 4 membership levels based on the amount of private coaching and support that you feel like you might need. And as a member, you'll get access to the full 16-module course of your choice, monthly coaching sessions with me live, where you can ask questions, and you can also connect with other members in the program. You also get access to over 20 plus hours of business trainings, monthly challenges for cash and prizes. And my favorite benefit, honestly, of them all is that you'll get access to our monthly book club, where we read one book each month and we discuss it together to gain insights and knowledge in things like personal development and business training, as well as access to our Employee to CEO VIP club and community, where we connect daily and I share business tips, industry news, and answer even some of your questions during our monthly office hours in the community to help you support you in building your dream, right? And so if you're ready to start creating that business and the life that you truly want and deserve, I want to personally invite you to join us at Employee to CEO and let us guide you on your journey from employee to entrepreneur. I can't wait to connect with you, and remember that this is not the end of your road. This is just the beginning. And so I look forward to connecting and seeing you in the program and in the community. And if you want to get started or learn more, visit moniquenicole.co to learn more and enroll.